Good evening, all.
Benjamin.
Evening, Benny.
Good evening.
Awesome.
Brother.
All right. So we actually have some council members from C11 in today. Ben, would you mind if they start a little bit first? Because I believe some of them have some updates to share. Is that all right?
Yes, of course. Yep, no problems.
Perfect. You want to take it away, guys?
Yeah, I'll talk because no one understands Adelia. So it'll be nice and easy. I can't get him to shut up in the private chat. So, yeah, so first of all, obviously, I shouldn't need to say this, but I will. Thank you, obviously, everyone that voted. I think the four of us were, I guess, lucky to get in, but at the same time, you know, very appreciative that everyone actually got out there and voted, and there were lots of votes that happened. So thank you very much. I don't know how Ben keeps up with the questions. I'm trying to see people sending stuff through, but just an update. Obviously, for us, we have been working pretty hard for the last week, reaching out to quite a few different projects continuously. But a lot of the update for tonight was mainly around, I guess, the direction we're taking the DAO. We obviously had an option to go with branding provided by RFOX, or to go our own direction and change the name or whatever it might have been. So we've done both. We have kept it slightly, but also changed and created our own law and everything to fit in with what we're trying to do. So we are going to separate from RFOX in that regard, but also obviously at the same time stick true to what Ben and the team have been building, and it's basically around community. We're looking to launch 1st of April, which hopefully falls in line with the open beta. I think that's probably going to be a really good target to set and hit. And if we can do it, we don't want to be late on the first deadline. Ben, you know how much the community gets in you if you're late to the first one. So we aim to be there on the 1st of April when open beta launches, and look to go from there. I don't know if anyone's had any questions around it. A few community members have reached out to us privately, but if there's anyone that wants anything answered initially, feel free to ask some questions. Otherwise, I'll hand it back over to Ben.
If you do have questions or you're typing questions, we can always circle back as well.
Yeah, for sure.
When Binance?
Lala, do you have anything that you want to update people on?
Hello. Not much on our side apart from making sure everybody knows that the tubing for Grim will happen on Friday. We will also have the reveals for the CitiXens pods, the rarity reveals on Friday, and next week will be the last 3 reveals. I know a lot of people have been asking about when they'll be able to see the PFPs for the CitiXens. Hang tight because we will be sharing that on Friday as well on the exact dates and times. As usual, I encourage everyone to please check the events tab for the exact timings. You can put a reminder there. It's easier because I know everybody's based in different parts of the world. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Yeah, and that's pretty much where we're heading. And we do have a Twitter Spaces tomorrow. It's with a content creator and a creator in basically different platforms. He'll talk a little bit more about his experience, how he started off. It will be an interesting one because we'll be talking about how things like that will be plugged into the RFOX Vault as well. So hopefully you guys join. Again, it's on our events tab, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for that Twitter Spaces. That's pretty much it for me.
Thanks, Lala. Who's still got unrevealed citizens?
I got a few.
I think
Hanford just posted that he got 28 unrevealed, which is ridiculous.
Jesus.
He's got more unrevealed. Yeah, he's got more unrevealed than he has uncommons.
That's insane.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Like, what the heck?
I'm like common 101. I just got revealed the very first. Okay, sure.
Yeah, I saw someone post that they had 4 and they got 2 commons, and then they've still got 2 unrevealed, and I was thinking that's still pretty okay. Depends how far that gauntlet runs. You know, we've had some people that have had a ton that didn't get any Sky Apartments, and then you've got people that have. I don't know what the least you've heard in the community is, but I know that someone had 3 and got a Sky. That's a pretty damn good little piece of engineering there. I wonder if anyone that got one of the free giveaways or anything ended up getting it. Be very interested to hear what was the least a person had to get a Sky. But I mean, it's slim pickings from everyone that I've asked and everyone that I've asked around to, outside of obviously the people that got it was someone who got 6. Very, very few landed. So they're sitting somewhere, aren't they? Pete, you'd know about all that distribution.
Yeah.
But
all of them are Adela's wallet.
right, that's what I thought. Just a very heavy concentration there. So, well, good luck to everybody. Anyways, I hope you get something that you really want. But obviously, I think these are much better than people think. As far as the artists are concerned and the people that designed these avatars, they're saying that they believe that they are, from a design perspective, that they've put in just as much effort, work, and they're just as pleased as they were with the OGs. So it'll be interesting to see how they come up, but they do certainly look very good. 5 unrevealed, that's not bad. 12 unrevealed still, and 5 of those are special Archimoto ones. Jesus. I had a couple of Calaxy ones, and I had my fingers crossed, and it was just like, nah. They're all common or uncommon. So we might have to do so. I think there'll be some trading going on, won't there? Some unrevealed trades. So just a few updates in general, especially while we wait for Luke for the product stuff. We've got heard from community members that KOGs has been much improved in terms of the minting, the number of KOGs, the functionality. They're very happy. I think that, again, it does definitely help when you've got the platform that you've been building ready to go out the door and things are starting to come together. I think that for everybody, anybody who sort of thought to themselves, what's happening with KOGs, or it's not part of the plan going forwards, or it's not something that they're thinking about, if that was ever a thought that you had, you know, that's I'm sorry for that, because the fact is that was never the case internally. We always have big plans for it and want to see the utility. So that's something we're really looking forward to. But in terms of updates, people keep asking about what's going to be built, who's going to be building. Obviously, the C11DAO, those guys have got together and taken the bull by the horns and are looking to bring in some people to the project, which is going to be great. But we've also got lots of people, like the people we're speaking to tomorrow in relation to on the Twitter Spaces. We've got a lot of people that are have been inquiring. We've got a lot of people that are building on other platforms and are experienced on other platforms, looking to deploy and come across. So as is the situation on the inside for us, it's about saying, all right, we're open for business. We've got the open beta launch done, and now we have to really build on those base offerings to make sure that we can have the capacity to handle people that come in and want to build. And the requests are sort of a mixture. We've got a number of people that have already got a ton of experience and they're wondering how to integrate. And then you've also got an increasing number of people saying, I've got good ideas. When are you going to get to a point where I don't need to really know anything? I can just hit buttons and deploy. So I think if you've all been watching, and we've been talking about this as a team today as well, if you've been watching the developments with things like ChatGPT and how they're plugging in, people are being able to create things in a lot more easy fashion and with a lot less friction than ever before, and that's evolving at a rapid rate of knots. So we keep getting asked how long it's going to be before people can come in and just sort of dream up assets and items and all the rest of it. We don't have a definitive date for that stuff, but we do know that it is something that's becoming more and more achievable as the months pass. So our goal is to really work on making sure that the onboarding becomes smoother and smoother, and that we've got a really nice portal, dashboard, whatever you want to call it, so that you can log in and you can have your central place where you can manage all of your assets and your holdings and everything within the RFOX ecosystem, and then to try and make sure that we're doing two things. One, focusing on what comes next, what big pieces added, but also focusing on what people are using, requesting and asking for, so that we can really roll quickly. But I think even getting to open beta, it's a huge step for us as a company, and I think it won't take long for a few people to come in and deploy something of note or worth, for it to really catch a few people off guard and say, where did that come from? Hadn't heard about that. Didn't know what RFOX Vault was. It won't take much to move that needle, because you're now comparing yourself against, or competing against, platforms that exist. You're no longer in the realms of a concept, or this one's going to be better than this one when they're all finished. It's a matter of saying, this is how it is. The other thing that got questioned several times during the week, and it always does, and that's good. It's a sign that more people that are knowledgeable about that come in. So just to try and answer the question, so I save having to repeat it 50 times, is people talk about frames per second or the frame rate. That's something that we're balancing. It's very hard to balance graphics and also capacity, and making sure that we've got a smooth experience. It's something that we're working on. There's a lot of videos that we get referred to where people say, have you seen such and such game or metaverse? They're building in VR, they're deploying now, and look at, have you seen the graphics on their videos and stuff like that? You know, we're already pushing the envelope with what we've got, and the technology will improve rapidly, and therefore so will our offerings. But people have to also be mindful that there's trade-offs at the moment with the technology, because it's still developing and evolving, and a lot of what you're presented is just really good videos and great concepts, but putting them into practice is something that's a lot harder than people think at this stage, but it will progress very quickly. Also helps that you have a DGen like Royal Pineapple overseeing COGs instead of NFTs at RFOX. I think we've got quite a few people that have sort of embraced that DGen culture with open arms, wouldn't you say, Pete?
Yeah, more and more of the staff have started picking up that DGen culture.
Yeah, and I think it's I think back to those days a couple of years back, where Wade would host a session on a Friday or something and say, you know, would explain how to set up an LP or become an LP, or how to stake, farm, send a token, buy an NFT, whatever the case might have been. And it's a real hard slog, because it's really hard to find references for a lot of this stuff, or it was so early. Now it's getting easier and easier to explain. More and more people understand it, so I think it is easier to embrace. But the vitriol now with the old PFP collections is pretty toxic if you're reading Twitter and stuff. I think, as is the case with every new market cycle, someone has to have a lot more utility, or come up with a new model or idea for the space to progress forward. You can't just keep recycling the same stuff over and over again. So it's going to be good to see real products coming out of this one. I didn't know, because the studios were so clearly in Galaxy style, I assumed every tier would have their own quarter style. So the idea, Stephen, is to make sure that there is the ability for people to have that canvas to be able to personalize, customize. The thing that will remain, that we're working off the premise of, is that with the apartments is the fixed space. So obviously a studio would be smaller space to work with. But the thing is that again, same with the Vault. Our objective was always to get a platform up, to get the ball rolling, and our biggest fear was to sort of go out, as we've said many times, with just these, barren wastelands and saying, okay, build something. It's what we wanted to do was make sure that we'd actually built the main structure, built some themes and some style, and then basically give people those instances to be able to build out your district and make sure that your district and your apartments are as personalised as you are. So that was always the plan, to, I guess, just get the ball rolling in a general sense for everything. We've always said, and I've said it a million times, we'll never build the best game, we'll never build the best DeFi product, but we will build an example and the tools, and those examples will become less and less relevant as time goes on, because we'll have much better references to point to. I have 2 PH and 1 standard in Calaxy. I'm looking to trade for Arcimoto. Well, there you go. I'll have a look what I've got. Other people will probably snap that up for me, right? Actual people that trade. There are limits on graphics at the best quality at this point. New editions of Oculus increase the quality. That is the truth. The quality will get a lot better, and it's progressing quickly. The thing is that obviously some of these headset manufacturers, especially Quest, have been very vocal in the fact that they are operating at a loss. They lose per unit. So it's more about buying the market. And I think the thing is that that there needs to be like a real there is real competition coming in now, and there's people trying to progress and build their own hardware and trying to push the envelope. And Pete, you've actually got a wonky headset from a different world. How's your experience with that?
Are you calling the PS VR2 a wonky headset?
I'm talking about the special,
or the Pico. Yeah,
Yes.
the special one I got. The headset is a good headset. It's just that there's very little apps on there. That's all. It's adoption, I guess.
Yeah, so
But
that's a
yeah, and
point.
there's actually a lot of apps which are on like the grey market, similar to like SideQuest. But yeah, I mean I need to start exploring that, because the installation of apps on the other headset is a lot simpler. You don't have to jump through hoops like on the site like on SideQuest with Meta and all that stuff. All you do is drag and drop, and then the app installs immediately. So that part of it is very, very easy.
Yeah, and I think Pete's made a good point there. People have asked many times before, why have you hitched your wagon to Quest, or why have you hitched your wagon to Unity, or why have you chosen to use this platform or that provider? The thing is, like Pete said, in the beginning, it's always going to be about getting people in, and it's going to always be about getting users and adoption. And we're building in a modular type of way, and Luke Fury can probably explain more about that than I can from a technical perspective. But we've thought long and hard about making sure that we are not stuck on something or completely dependent on something. But the thing is, to Pete's point, Pico have to start from scratch. Look at Sandbox; they had players and gamers and all the rest of it to relatively okay numbers back when it was a straight game. But the thing is that they've got Vox edits that they've got their own type of programming language, and a lot of these platforms are going for stuff that's ring fenced and people have to learn a special skill for. So making it accessible to people, especially in the early days, for content providing and for building experiences in games and assets, it's extremely important that you're going with whatever's going to be the path of least resistance. We've already got enough hurdles with Web3 side of things. Ben from NFT Hive has updated the page on NFT Hive, and you can view it. View your Grim 2 sets. I need to give him a shout out. Yeah, he's always been from day one very good at adding sets in addition. Someone got an actual typewriter, have they? I can hear sounds like an old-fashioned typewriter clunking away. Is that you, Pete, on your?
No, sorry, that was my wife. Mixing milk for the kids. My bad. Should have muted it.
I thought it was someone typing. I'll trade anyone any apartment they need once I get a chance to breathe. There you go. Luke's here now. Welcome. Do you want to? We sort of held back on anything to do with gaming or any product updates. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. Can do that. Just want me to give a quick run through on the product side.
Yep.
Yeah, so obviously we're getting to the pointy end with the Vault release, which is still on track for next week. So we'll release some details to the community about that really shortly. As far as what we've been working on, Slam's integrated in there now with the full gameplay and everything. We're just waiting for there was a couple of little bug fixes we needed to get done, so we're just waiting for those to come through today. There's a new arcade game coming, which sort of alluded to before. So that's progressing. Fizz had a couple of upgrades, including adding chat to it. We're still trying to figure out. We've still got an issue with chat. We're just looking into it at the moment, but the plan is to have chat for release inside of here, so you'll be able to talk during the games. There's also been some other improvements on just lighting and stuff in there as well. All apartments are in the Vault now. So there's basically the showcase for every type of apartment, so you can go in and walk around in each of those apartments. Improving the avatar movement, as we've said before, that's been putting a lot of focus on that. And so from next week we'll have the app will be available on SideQuest initially, and then Apple and Google stores. We're still going through Apple approval, so if we get to the point where that hasn't been finalized by next week, we'll have self-invites to Test Flight that we'll just put up on our website. So there'll just be a link there to go and invite yourself, so anyone can join through that. We've got a 10,000 seat allocation on that as well, so we won't be limited. And then as soon as the approval happens, obviously we'll just move over to the normal store. The SideQuest thing is mainly just to do with timing on the Oculus store and the time it takes to get approved. But again, we can just easily transition. And I think having it on SideQuest alongside the Oculus store is probably not a bad thing going forward anyway. On the release as well, we're not going to be doing a media campaign or any sort of external communication outside of the community and our website just for a couple of weeks. We're just going to ensure that we've received feedback and bug reports and we've had a chance to clean them up and respond to those. And obviously just do a bit of load testing in that first couple of weeks as well. Obviously, we're not restricting who can join. Anyone can join, and we'll make those links available on our website, as I said. So it's not about restricting anything. It's just about just controlling it a little bit at the very start. But we'll share those builds as soon as we're happy that they're final with the community and the MVP. Anyone that's in that MVP track at the moment. So you'll get a chance to look at it before the public get it. I think that's about it at the moment, Ben.
Thanks, mate. I think you probably can't give any more sneak peeks on anything because people just have to wait a few more days and stuff, don't they? So, well, a few weeks for things, depending on what it is.
Yeah, I mean, most of it'll be in a build that we can release either at the end of this week or early next week to the MVP participants anyway. So we're only talking a few days, yeah.
Okay, so we all know apartments will become available to use at the same time, irrelevant whether their quarter has been built already. Will apartments, windows, terraces eventually offer a view in the vault real time for all tier apartments? If yes, will this happen sooner for Calanova and Arcimoto? I don't know what we want to say there yet, Luke, other than obviously the last two quarters have not yet been built. So we're looking at making sure that the apartments are in an accessible place. That's important, so that will be an evolving landscape. We have talked about the fact that there will be, yes, there will be some views, whether it's real time for all tier apartments. I don't know if you've got any comments on that, Luke. I think what he's asking is, you know, you can look out of your apartment and have a look at what's actually happening down below.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, it's a bit, like you said, it's a bit tricky at the moment just because of the placement of where they are. They're probably going to sit in Q5 for the time being until those other quarters are built, which we did talk about, I think, last week or the week before as well. So yeah, I mean, that's a limitation, but also actually rendering the entire vault from that window or lookout is very resource intensive, and we have to factor that in. We're really trying to balance quality with performance at the moment, and doing something along those lines will obviously need to be very well thought out. There are ways of doing it, obviously, like taking snapshots of that environment and, you know, having still images of it. But at the moment, no, that's basically you just have the sky view from the apartments at the moment.
Thank you, mate. Kyle, could you please shed some light on RFOX NFT Staking Launch with VFOX? So that is in relation to the apartments and avatars. What we've stated is that you'll be able to get a boost on your by combining VFOX and the NFT. So we'll share some more information on that shortly. Okay, I understand the technical challenges, but I do feel people will really expect to have real-time views of what is happening in the vault from their apartments. Just having empty sky views doesn't really contribute to an immersive vault experience and just makes them standalone spaces. Will be considered once the technology improves will allow frame rate to be workable. So again, I can't answer technically. Luke will probably be able to, or Pete. But ultimately speaking, mate, the couple of things, like when we first started building, this will show you how little I understood of how things worked in the beginning. I was actually saying, I want to catch an elevator up to the top of the building, and then I want you to be able to like pan around and have a look at do a 360 spin and have a look at the world and the quarters and what's off. They looked at me like I was an alien and said, "Do you know how video games work?" And I was like, "Well, clearly not. Of course, I wouldn't be saying that." You load a scene. You're loading a section in front of you, what you're looking at, which is why we ended up saying, hey, let's make the transition between quarters kind of a novel concept, and let's make it a train ride with some cool views and all the rest of it. But the idea was always to have some sort of view out of the window. When we started sort of workshopping or talking to people about that in the beginning, and talking to creators and stuff like that, and people that were world builders, what we found out from people back in those days was people were saying, rather than necessarily looking out like you would off the top of a building at the moment in Q5, and you can see the little ants running around and people going off from one building to another, other people, and especially those that are building brands or companies or want a unique experience, have been asking from the get-go for customizable views. When we sort of dug into what a customizable view means to them, they were talking more about, I would like it to feel like it is my own world, right? So some people will really want to be able to look out of their apartment and go, wow, look at that view. Like I can show you a picture out of the apartment window that I'm in right now, and you've got this beautiful long busy road with red lights on the back of cars and a beautiful skyscape. But other people want to have like rolling hills that fit in with their game, or their world or their lore. So I think it's going to be really interesting. And again, our job is to provide the platform and to provide the tools. So it's a matter of what people want to do. But so far the requests have been from people, and Luke, you've probably got more to add, or can add your 2 cents on this, but so far from the people that have been sort of really serious about building, throwing some serious development funding for their space and bringing across their, how do I say it without saying it, their little community and world. They want to stand at the top of a Sky apartment, for example, look off the edge, and they want to see their world. They don't want to have a look and see Calanova or whatever. They want to see a scene that is specific to their world, because, yes, that's as close as they're going to get to having their own metaverse. And I think it's becoming clearly, very, very clear to me at least, that I think a lot of people are going to view the RFOX Vault as the closest they're going to get to having their own metaverse. Luke?
Having personalized views is it's an easier thing to implement for sure, because it's controllable and we're not actually rendering the app itself. But like I said, we can. There's ways of actually snapshotting the environment and having still images and stuff. But whether that's even going to cut it, I don't know. I think this is something that we need to get a consensus on and start to build feedback from users on and figure out exactly what people do want, because as Ben alluded to, we do get a lot of conflicting feedback and requests. So we just need to make sure that what we're doing is not only what we think is best, but also what our user base as a whole thinks is best. And maybe it's giving options. I don't know, but
Yeah.
Right now we've got some other we see some other things to deal with, and we have to prioritize some of this work as well. And something like that might sound like a fairly small thing to do, but can end up chewing up a lot of time that could be spent on other things. So we just need to prioritize and weigh all this stuff up as well.
Yeah, Luke, you touched on a really good point there as well. I think that's another thing that's probably underrated, is that people don't understand how much conflicting information we get. We get lots of different requests. People that have an established brand or that have something that would bring an audience preloaded into the vault have very, very specific requests and demands, because some of those people would be moving from somewhere else, or they're not happy with where they are. So they're looking for us. And this is not a bad thing. So don't think that what I'm saying right now is bad. People would say, you're early. We can have a bit of can you do this for us? Or can you make this a bit different for us? So, we do get a lot of conflicting requests. That's for sure and certain. And I think the personalized views are going to be something that are going to be highly demanded as well. And to your point, and going back, because we haven't actually fully defined that yet as well. Our job is not to sort of get stuck in these quandaries all the time as well. It'll be to provide a solution and an option to people, and then to let people get on and build. And I'm not saying this will happen, but just for an example, it could be that certain apartments have a preloaded view, so you've got a scenery just like you would on the building top, and then others are fully customizable. These are things that we have to sort of decide going forwards. But just for case in point, I put a picture of my view just there, a real photo, and then above, XP's put an image that I would much rather look at. I would really like to, but that's the thing. Everyone's going to have their own sort of views and opinions. But make no mistake about it, our key differentiator in the beginning is that we're ready to go and we're early. So we can still poach people from, and are getting people from, much bigger platforms coming across and saying, you know what, I'm pissed off where I am. They don't look after me in this way. They don't give me this. They don't have tools for this. They don't have any plans to do that. They can't move. They're too big. So we've got some really great opportunities that we have to capitalize on for sure. The option to see the Vault 2 in the future would be sweet, though, too, especially if there are events going on like concrete or races. Well, I think you mean concerts, don't you? Imagine that. A good view to see the concrete. The thing is that I think we did talk about it previously. Remember, we talked about waterways connecting the worlds, and this was what we talked about in the very, very beginning. And we said that the long-term objective would be to have on those waterways would be to have boats for both the purpose of people have said, oh, boat races, whatever. Our job will be to build the aspect, and your job will be to build the games and the interactive things that happen in some of these instances. Personalized views, even animated, will be a good opportunity for creators to sell as tradable Vault NFTs. Exactly. I think from the perspective of the creator economy in the early days, the fact that we don't have some of those things finalized will actually play into our advantage, but also the creators and the users' advantage as well. So if we're like, you go into a Sky apartment in the ones that are set up for demonstration, you go in there and what can you see? You can just see blue, right? So someone comes along and goes, hey, look what I've built, a customizable scene, and it's got rolling hills and volcanoes and all the rest of it in the background. People go, oh, crap, how do I get that? So that's the beautiful thing about having the creator economy, is that people will start saying, hang on, there's a hole here, there's a gap that could be filled here. Even if it's not the long-term solution, even if it's not something that we're going to provide as standard, it'll still be an option B, and it'll still be a great hole filler. Places all around the world have cameras set up. Your viewport into New York City or Dubai. Yeah, I actually remember, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, maybe longer. I don't want to show my age, but it blew my mind when early CCTV login websites were created. This was mind-blowing back in the day. You could actually log into, your favorite place like Hawaii, the main road of Hawaii, and you could watch people walking down there in real time and feel like you're on the street and remember the times that you were in those places. And it was like, wow. I think that the most exciting thing, and it probably comes across in the way we talk sometimes, I think the most exciting thing is that our job from day one, and don't ever lose this point of reference, our job was to build a platform that gave you the tools to be able to create these types of experiences. And just even when talking to the C11DAO, even talking to these creators and people that have got stuff that's already built that are looking to come across, everybody's got an idea. Everybody's got a suggestion. Everybody's got something that they think they could bring to the table. And the great part about what we're building is we are offering the opportunity for people to bring stuff to the table. And you don't have to think to yourself, does my place have to be confined to 3-color palette, and does it must it have certain brick texture, and must it have, because once you're in that personal district in your space, that's where you've got carte blanche. You can go wild. So the really great part about that is you don't have to blend with everything else in your space. That's the part that's the unique offering, right? You could build things that are, heaven forbid, I know some of you degenerates will, but you could build something that's a little distasteful, or something that's very weird or abstract, or would appeal to a very, very small audience. And it will not detract from the aesthetics or the value of the vault, because it will not appear on the surface level of the vault. And I think that's something that's extremely unique. You're not really seeing that opportunity elsewhere. Anything you want to add to that, Luke or Pete?
No, I think you covered it well.
My questions: have any of the regular citizen pods actually evolved yet? And when do we actually see the reveals? Where do we actually see the reveals? So the first question is, yes, the first 2 phases have gone. So commons and uncommons are revealed, meaning that you know that you've got that rarity level. You have not been able to see your actual citizen yet. The citizen reveals, as Lala said in the beginning of the call, will be that'll be announced early next week. Well, is it Friday? It's coming soon. But we've still got 2 more reveal cycles to go through. So there'll be one on Friday for what is essentially a rare level, and then on early next week you'll get the last levels revealed. Are the apartments of Calanova Quarter embedded in the current architecture, or will buildings go up upon release? So, as Luke alluded to before, it's more than likely going to be housed in Q5 in the interim, because quarter 3 and 4 have not been built yet. Will there only ever be 10,000 apartments, or will environments expand over time? So the goal is to have 10,000 apartments. We have said that if smaller personalized spaces or
Benny, sorry, just to correct, there's not going to be 10,000 apartments. There's going to be 7,300 and something. Yeah, whatever the supply is for apartments, that's it. That's the cap right now, because because we didn't mint out the 10,000.
Yeah. So will there only ever be those apartments, and will the environments expand over time? We have also talked about local versions of vaults in specific countries, so that people can do in real life, like food deliveries, and it becomes more logistically possible to do physical and digital items. But again, we're just thinking that we've put out the longer term vision and plan since day one, but we're now just working through the gears and making sure, first of all, that we've got a strong enough demand use case and also product market fit for the first world first. That's our primary objective. Will we be able to bring our own custom rigged 3D avatars? Do you want to handle that one, Luke?
I mean, obviously, that would have to have some input into how that works going forward as far as what gets brought in. But yeah, I mean, technically speaking, we will be able to do it. We're going to rig our own CitiXens, obviously. So, and that's kind of the same process, really, because we're not using an out-of-the-box system to do that. We're going to be doing that ourselves. So the tech is there to do it already. It's more how we do it and how we manage that, I guess. We want people to be able to do that themselves, obviously, as well. But for a project, it's pretty straightforward, because if someone's bringing in an experience and they want to use our rigging tools to rig their avatars, that bit's quite easy. For a user to bring in their own avatar, that's a little bit harder, but it's definitely something we're planning to figure out.
So yeah, with the avatar creation tool, obviously, you look at Fear. Fear's got its own avatars inside of the game. To Luke's point, as we've discussed before as well, it's also like if you used our avatar creation tool to create avatars, that is the most logical path and the path to least resistance. The issue that we've always had is, as stated before, if someone tries to bring in a Smurf-based NFT from another metaverse that already has IP rights and licenses and deals with another metaverse, that becomes very, very difficult, tricky to manage. And also when you're trying to convert an NFT / avatar from another metaverse into what could be very different in our metaverse, that becomes logistically very difficult. But the path to least resistance would, of course, be to use the avatar creation tool that we launched to create new avatars. That would be the fastest route for sure. And how will we verify apartment ownership via a Quest 2 headset? Do you want to talk about that now, Luke? Or
What was the question again?
how will we verify our apartment ownership via a Quest?
High level. So we're building a new user portal, which is an extension of what used to be the old shop owners portal, which we talked about, I think, last week as well. But essentially that's going to use RFOX ID, which is our auth system, to authenticate you and to link your wallets. So any avatars you have in your wallets will be available in there and will be linked back from your RFOX ID. So when you sign into the vault, it'll know what you're holding as part of what's been imported into that portal. So It's all done through RFOX ID and that authentication process. There's no actual signing of anything in the vault or anything like that. It's just about the fact that you own that asset, I guess.
Yes. Any more alpha on OG crystals? As just what we've said so far, we've obviously got lore and everything around that. We do know that they can produce life. We know that there's still guardians of the light to come. We know that there's also a limited number of the crystals. So yes, there's some more alpha coming for sure. Hope the great opportunities will get to us this year. Absolutely. I think the thing is, the really important thing to understand is that come open beta, it's not just up to us. So we'll be able to provide more accessible and easier to use and a nicer interface as time goes on. And we'll be able to provide those tools. But a lot of what's going to get built as far as experiences and games and stuff like that are going to be built by you guys. So those opportunities are going to be created not just by us. Hoverboard race, yeah, that'd be cool. We've talked about hoverboards before. Laugh out loud, distasteful. I wonder which people Benny's referring to. Well, you probably walk around and think you've got little tiki torches burning and people say that's lovely and it's likely to be loincloths drying. Custom avatar building is a great way to bring in PFP NFT communities. There might be, these might be the next level NFT utility rather than mutations, which is just generating a new PFP image. I think that's a really good point. The thing is that this is why C11DAO will be great as well. When you pull in lots of other projects, it's going to be interesting to see whether people morph from what they've got, combine what they've got, attract people in externally. There's going to be lots of different stuff like that. But the part that has resonated with people so far that we talk to externally as well is the ability for them to have the customization ability. That makes people that are creating feel as though they are a little special and that they've got something that's kind of specifically for them. And that's something that we've got to be mindful as a company not to lose that going forwards. Not to say, all right, we've painted ourselves into a corner and now you can only do black and shades of black. We need to make it that we really keep this open to people creating mind-blowing stuff. And the utility for sure will come. What we haven't really seen is these proper avatar tools that can be used in conjunction with tools that we'd have in our suite. So how it would work with us is you could create an avatar, you could create a base skeleton, you could create items that would go on them, and then you could randomly generate 10,000 avatars, for example. And then those could be turned into PFPs. How it currently stands is that people buy a PFP or a profile picture NFT, and then they say, oh, we're going to work with these 10 partners and try and turn them into something that's not a picture anymore. And you'll be able to use it in something that we haven't built yet. Whereas this will be much more of a, you can come in and create that. You think it looks cool, you get inspired to create a whole collection of that, and voila, off you go. So this is like really, really provides layers, and it's a good point you've brought up, layers and layers of utility. Combine that with DeFi and the ability to stake and farm and the ability to generate revenue, the ability to reward people through innovative ideas like the DAOs. It's a really, really good concept, and I think that we've put all the ingredients on the table. Now it's just a matter of someone going to going into that pantry and saying, look at all the ingredients here, I'm going to make this and I'm going to make that. And we want to sort of facilitate that, not prohibit that. We want to encourage what people can build and do build. And I have no doubt in my mind, in my tiny little pea brain, that so many people will create stuff that we that blow our minds and our expectations, and that's what we want, because that means we've provided the right platform and the right tools. If we're continually going, holy crap, have you seen what that person's built? The true test for myself, and I can only speak on my behalf, the true test for me will be if I'm grabbing a headset and going, holy shit, I've got to go in and see that. that sounds awesome. And you're continually going in there and you're just as excited as everybody else to see what's being built on the platform, then you know you've built something pretty bloody special. So there's lots of stuff that we can do. But as I say, if we're, people say, oh, that's great, that's a smart idea, or that's great that you thought of that. The smartest idea we can have is to provide the tools that we don't have to think of the things that people are building and bringing to the table, because this technology moves quickly, people move quickly, and if you give people an unthrottled environment where they can really, really unleash their imagination and their skills, then they'll come up with things way better than we can program them with. So thank you very, very much for your time, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you have a good DJ hour for those who are staying around for that. Good luck with your Grim 2s, your avatars. I think, as I said, the word on the street from the design side is there is no way in God's name that, considering the quality that is going to come out in this set of avatars, that there would be a disparity of the magnitude that currently exists between the OGs and the standards. So I would expect that some people are going to be blown away if their expectations are that it's a, what is it, you can get one for probably 0.05 or something like that. If you're thinking it's a 0.05 collection and you're going to be getting a rigged avatar, then I think you're going to get very excited. Have a great night, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it and your time, and look forward to only a week or so away from seeing you in there all the time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone. Stay safe. Have a great week ahead.
See you guys. Bye.
Guys.